At exactly 2:30 p.m. on Friday, June 12, 2026, Anthropic received a sudden phone call from the United States government. They were given a mandatory 90-minute ultimatum to comply with an emergency national security directive. The order was simple, brutal, and completely unprecedented. Kill switch their brand new, state-of-the-art Fable 5 and Mythos 5 models, globally, instantly. For 3 years, they tried to convince you that AI was just a harmless software game. Clean web interfaces, neural networks wrapped in corporate compliance pros, and one job for you. Sit down, pay your monthly API subscription, and build lightweight wrappers inside their sandbox. They wanted you under a spell, because as long as you believe AI is just a casual code library on your screen, you will not look down at the dirt, the silicon, and the regulatory infrastructure where the real war is being fought. But on June 12th, the facade did not just crack, it was torn down. In a matter of days, the tech industry crossed a structural event horizon. We witnessed the first mass, government-mandated commercial AI model recall in human history. We caught the paper trail of an $8 to $10 billion semiconductor cartel shakeup, built to shatter NVIDIA's monopoly from the edge up. And inside the world's largest engineering teams, a silent financial revolt called Tokenminimizing has been triggered, because the cloud invoice is finally coming due. If you are still writing linear scripts and expecting infinite, cheap, centralized compute to save your application, you are walking blind into a meat grinder. Today, we log into the raw terminal. We look past the surface. We map the collapse of the centralized sandbox, and we show you exactly how to architect systems that survive the fallout. Pull up your IDE. Let's read the logs. Let's look at the heaviest structural shift to hit our industry. On June 12, 2026, the United States government did something it had never done before. It invoked emergency national security export controls to force a commercial AI product completely offline. Anthropic had just launched its Mythos-class frontier models, Fable 5 and Mythos 5, engineered with an elite capacity for identifying, auditing, and fixing deep software vulnerabilities. But less than 72 hours after launch, the Department of Commerce issued an abrupt directive banning any foreign national, including Anthropic's own employees, from accessing these models. Because a centralized cloud provider cannot reliably vet the nationality of every developer hitting an API endpoint in real time, Anthropic had no choice. They hit the kill switch and disabled Fable 5 and Mythos 5 for every customer on Earth. Picture the architecture. One central API provider, thousands of lines feeding global applications. A single revoked stamp crushes the center, and every downstream app instantly turns red and dies. The official narrative? An unnamed entity found a narrow bypass, a jailbreak that let the model read codebases and exploit system flaws. Anthropic pushes back hard. The vulnerabilities were minor, already public, and detectable by open models without any bypass. But look past the political theater and read the warning label. If your production app, your enterprise pipeline, your startup's core infrastructure relies entirely on a centralized API provider, your entire business model is a hostage to regulatory whim. Your access can be vaporized over an unverified verbal security claim on a Friday afternoon. The era of treating centralized cloud APIs as reliable, immutable utility infrastructure is over. If you do not own the weights, and you do not run the compute, you do not control your software. Why is the state suddenly treating commercial models like national security assets? Because the line between a software development tool and active warfare has completely vanished. Under the Pentagon's accelerated AI strategies, systems like Project Maven now process up to 150 distinct raw data sources at once. Real-time drone video feeds, intercepted satellite communications. They generate up to 1,000 structured targeting recommendations per hour. Analytical work that used to require 2,000 intelligence officers is now funneled through automated inference engines, run by just 20 people. When software is weaponized at this scale, whoever controls the underlying silicon controls global leverage, which is exactly why the hardware market is restructuring behind closed doors. A major leak confirmed it. Qualcomm is in advanced talks to acquire Tensualcomm, the revolutionary AI silicon startup led by legendary chip designer Jim Keller, in a deal valued between $8 and $10 billion. Qualcomm dominates consumer edge silicon. Their chips power the phones, routers, and edge hardware in billions of pockets. But they have always lacked the heavy data center training footprint that NVIDIA's QDA ecosystem owns. Tensualcomm does not design monolithic GPUs. Jim Keller's team builds open architecture, decentralized RISC-V AI processors that pass data directly from core to core, without a central memory bottleneck. A standard GPU cluster hits a wall, diminishing returns as the network interconnect chokes. An open RISC-V array scales in a clean, straight line. If Qualcomm closes this, they are not just buying intellectual property. They are engineering an escape hatch from the NVIDIA monopoly. A decentralized world where frontier AI is not locked inside a few liquid-cooled farms in Virginia, but trained on scalable open RISC-V clusters and deployed across edge devices worldwide. As a systems developer, your stack must become architecture agnostic today. Anyone who ties themselves exclusively to proprietary, vendor-locked ecosystems will find themselves structurally incompatible with the open, distributed hardware layer being manufactured right now. While governments fight over model access and silicon giants battle for hardware, look at the quiet civil war happening on the engineering floors of the world's largest enterprises. Internal leaks from AT&T and Meta show both giants now aggressively enforcing a mandatory discipline they call tokenminimizing. AT&T has throttled internal developer access to frontier LLMs. Meta is deploying automated monitoring to restrict prompt token metrics. Why? Because the hype of the infinite context window has finally collided with the immutable laws of corporate accounting. The era of the lazy prompt is dead. Engineers got lazy. They stopped indexing tables. They stopped writing optimized parsers. They just dump thousands of lines of logs, entire directory trees, and raw database exports into a 1,000,000 token context window, and expect the model to find the missing semicolon. But tokens are not free. Every time your autonomous agent fires a recursive loop passing massive, unoptimized context across an external API, you are burning real corporate runway, scaled across tens of thousands of employees. That laziness is millions of dollars of pure infrastructure bleed. Token minimizing is the new standard of professional back-end engineering. The engineers who command the highest premiums will not write flashy prompts. They will implement local semantic chunking, run ultra-light open-source models on local metal for basic tasks, and only route to an expensive reasoning model when a high-level calculation is truly mandatory. If you do not optimize your data objects for extreme token efficiency now, your system gets flagged and shut down by a cost monitoring script before it ever leaves staging. If you think the move is to sit back and wait for models to stop scaling, you are misreading the roadmap. The elite tier of the engineering world is not scaling down. They are changing how models learn entirely. At the Google Cloud Summit in London, David Silver, the legendary DeepMind researcher behind AlphaGo and AlphaZero, announced that his new frontier lab, Ineffable Intelligence, has locked a massive infrastructure partnership with Google Cloud. Fresh off a $1.1 billion seed round, deploying one of the largest A5X clusters on Earth, powered by NVIDIA's next-generation Vera Rubin hardware. Their objective? The world's first superlearner. Standard language models train on static datasets scraped from the internet, historical human text. A superlearner uses reinforcement learning to generate, evaluate, and learn from its own continuous experience in real time. It does not crawl the web. It creates environments, tests hypotheses, discovers software flaws, and generates entirely new scientific and technological knowledge from scratch. That demands a unified, full-stack AI hypercomputer where inference loops, high-performance networking, and deep storage operate as a single living organism. The frontier is sprinting away from pattern matching toward pure autonomous discovery. The mainstream tech media will spend the rest of the week on consumer software updates, web app redesigns, and corporate marketing strategy. They want you locked in that comfortable, surface-level consumer trance. But we look past the surface. A federal government runs an instant global model recall. The Pentagon pipes raw tactical drone streams through automation layers. Enterprise giants force token rationing on their own engineers. The comfortable software sandbox is completely gone. The structural foundations of computing are being rewritten. Stop building fragile applications on rails you do not own and can never truly control. Learn to optimize your context windows, manage an uncompromising token budget, and deploy, fine-tune, and run open weights models on localized, air-gapped infrastructure. The compute cartel has drawn its lines. The token war is happening right now, at the command line. How are you re-architecting your back-end stack to stay completely sovereign? Drop your local optimization frameworks and your vector chunking strategies in the logs below. Let's look at the code, and let's see who is actually ready to build. See you in the next build.